It is lights out and away we go. Hello, racers, and welcome to episode 8 of the Harder Soft podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Huff, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, RJ McCullough. What's up, RJ?
Hello. Hello again, Adrian. I'm battling a bit of a cold, so keep that in mind. Bear with me on that. But
Damn, I hate that.
yeah, not great, but I got a new Mercedes shirt here, so I'm happy with that. Actually brings me to my first point. So I got a couple of things of F1 merch. See, they come in these nice bags, F1 Racing. But
that's so sweet. Oh my gosh.
There's only 9 teams listed in the pictures. So each
Yeah.
the listeners, there's a little logo of each team. So it took me a little while to figure out there's the team that's missing is Haas. There's no Haas.
No.
And like Aston Martin's on there, and they're a newer named team than Haas. So I don't know why Haas wouldn't be on there, but it's kind of surprising.
It probably said like Urkali Haas or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good point. See,
maybe
that's why you're the main host.
Dude, no, not main hosts. No, sir. We are co-hosts. You're just also the producer.
Yes, I am.
I love the shirt though.
I
said just before the show, but you're channeling your inner Toto Wolff.
Indeed, I am.
Or outer, I guess.
Yeah, just trying to embody as much of him as I possibly can.
I like it.
I start eating my pumpernickel.
Make sure it snaps like a cookie.
Okay. Anything going on in your personal life?
Not really. Just been, I know both of us are super busy with our jobs, lots of side projects and stuff going on. It's just been super busy. And also, well, I should have led with this, but I am best man in a wedding this weekend. So what, like 4 days from now? So yeah, that's been a little bit of pressure, but we're past the bachelor party. So I'm just smooth sailing from here.
Yeah, I was gonna say same one that you had the bachelor party for, I hope.
Yep, it is
4 days from now. So what's that?
Saturday.
Okay, so you'll be able to watch the racing and stuff.
Oh, I'll be watching the race. I'll be watching the sprint race. I'll be watching quali. The only thing is, what do we know what time it starts on the Eastern? Yes. What time does it start?
That'll be a good little tease for later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, on the race on Sunday starts at 10 a.m.
Oh, that's perfect, because I think the ceremony is at like 5 p.m. So
there you go. Perfect. It'll be over and done with. So yeah, we'll just get to our points here. First one, we finally got to see a little bit of the Miami track, even though the race is in a few weeks. The article I saw, I feel like we shout these people out every week, but I saw it on the WTF1.com. Good people, great podcast.
Yes, they
are. Saw it on their website, and they had 2 videos. The one was like a very highly edited video put out by Red Bull that was sort of like a James Bond, Christian Horner, like get to Miami type video, and that made the track look really cool and everything. And then there was another video of like just Perez driving around the track, and it didn't look so great. I mean, it looks the track, you can't tell much, but it's just cones everywhere, dirt roads, kind of like doesn't really look like it's a few weeks away from being raced on.
No, I know. Last season, the same sort of gossip was happening about Jeddah. They were doing construction like 8 days before the Grand Prix weekend. So hopefully it's just business as usual. But no, I watched the Sergio video and it looks rough. Like, I know absolutely nothing about construction or the logistics of Formula One, but my God, yeah, it looks in a very, very like bad state.
Yeah, so something to look out for is I assume they'll keep posting updates over the next few weeks. There's no way you assume there's no way they're not going to be ready, but obviously they're leaving it to the last minute.
It's all those lawsuits from all the people that live around the track slowing them down.
Yeah, like, I hear they're still, like, as of a few weeks ago, they're still trying to have like a last minute thing. Like, I don't think that's going to happen, but
never.
And then we got a little bit more news on the Audi Porsche kind of their entry into F1. So originally the scuttlebutt was that Audi and Porsche, who are both part of the Volkswagen group, were going to try to join like an existing team, whether it be like an engine manufacturer, like with Red Bull or something along those lines. But now Audi has come out and said that they want their own team. They want to buy one of the teams that exists. So I guess the rumors are the teams, and some of it's already been speculated on, but McLaren, Williams, Sauber, which is Alfa Romeo, and Aston Martin are the 4 teams that they're apparently looking to buy one of those teams for 2026 when the new, I guess there's another new set of regulations coming in then. So yeah, what do you think about that?
That's actually crazy to think about, that potentially in 4 years time we could have 2 completely new teams in Formula One, and we'll lose 2 like beloved teams, or at least for us, because we've sort of joined this sport sort of in the culmination of like this new era and everything. But if I had to guess, I think, I mean, out of all the names, it's bad. I actually feel like Alfa Romeo is like less likely than McLaren, just because I don't know. I know Alfa Romeo has mentioned that they aren't like completely against selling, but I feel like with the way they've been performing this season, that I don't think they would just sell outright, that they're going to continue with Ferrari. But Williams seems super, super possible. And McLaren, if the season continues to be a disaster, and if Australia is like just a coincidence, then yeah, they're definitely in the running. But that's crazy.
Yeah, and then Aston Martin, obviously they seem like at the moment the most obvious one, whether it's through Audi or Andretti, or if that becomes maybe a merger of some sort. But yeah, that'll be another thing to watch as the months go by.
Yeah, absolutely. It depends how stubborn the Strolls are, or at least Lawrence.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess it's going to come down to him. One way or the other. Have you seen the Vettel, Sebastian? Speaking of Aston Martin, Sebastian Vettel always like names his cars every year.
Yep.
So I've got the list. He hasn't. So I guess the story is he hasn't named his car yet this year because he feels that it's too slow. He wants to wait for a little bit more pace, which is fair. But I have the list up of names in the past that he. Let's close this ad here. Okay, so starting from 2008 to 2021. 2008. Julie, very simple. In 2009,
I like it.
Kate's dirty sister. Ooh. 2010, Luscious Liz / Randy Mandy.
So slash.
Yeah, he had 2. I guess I don't know. Maybe they had 2 liveries that year when he was 2010. He would have been with Red Bull back then.
Yeah, that was his first championship.
Okay, yeah. So I'm not sure. Yeah, a couple of them had doubles. 2011, Kinky Kylie.
Another championship car, Kinky Kylie.
2012, Abby. Pretty simple. 2013, Hungry Heidi.
Seb won his final world championship with Hungry Heidi.
And then he kind of toned it down a bit for a few years. Susie, 2014. 2015, Eva. And then 2016, Margarita. Interesting.
Oh.
Yeah. And then he's gone pretty simple the last few years. 2017, Gina. 2018, Loria. 2019, Lena. 2020, Lucilla. And then 21, maybe a little shout out to Danny Rick, Honey Rider.
Ooh.
So a lot of these kind of just sound like stripper names. I'm just going to say it.
Right.
But I guess they are his cars. So it's like people name their boats and stuff.
Yeah. Right. So Honey Rider was 2021. So that was the Aston Martin. Interesting. Yeah. 2 of those stood out to me. I feel like he definitely came up with the name Margarita at the Mexico GP. He had to have.
Yeah.
And what year was 2014?
Susie was 2014. Hungry Heidi was 2013.
Sebastian, are you after Susie Wolff?
Oh yes, interesting.
You dog.
Hungry Heidi, Susie. He better not be.
No. I don't think anything could break up that power couple. Even a legend as, let's just be honest, as beautiful as Sebastian Vettel.
Yes, this is true. But yeah, I don't know what was going on in 2010 when he had 2 names for his car: Luscious Liz / Randy Mandy. I don't know what was going on in his life back then, but
I will say, as we continue on this podcast journey over the next, however many seasons, I definitely want to make an effort towards, I mean, we already know like fundamental information and basic info, but I would love to just learn the history of all the seasons. Like if someone asked me like, who was world champion in 1990? Well, hold on. I need to make sure I don't list a Schumacher year in 1989. And I would have no idea, It would just be so cool to be able to just rattle off that information. Because I know like most of these like commentators, I'm sure they'd be like, you don't know, that's Jacques Villeneuve, which and that was definitely not his year. But yeah, that's definitely something I want to work on, is my overall history knowledge of F1.
Yeah, that could be something we work on maybe next off season, because it would be cool. Like my guess for 89 would be like Senna, but I have no idea. Senna,
Right.
Prost, I don't know, but I don't know if that's too early. I don't know. No clue. Then our next thing was Mr. Verstappen had. I took this as an interesting quote, so I wanted to read it to you because he's usually so cocky, but it could have been in jest. So obviously Red Bull's had a bit of a tough start with the issues Max has had with the car.
Rip.
So anyways, they asked how many races he thinks he's going to need to catch up to first place. And his answer was, it's a long season, but at this stage, I think we need 45 races. Already being so far down in the championship, from now on, we need to be ahead, which we are not at the moment. And we need to be reliable, which we are also not. Yeah.
That's hilarious. I mean, yeah, I mean, if Red Bull could have it their way, I'm sure they'd want to race every single weekend, 52 weeks out of the year. But I mean, even though it's partially like satire, he's got a point. I mean, especially Max is just, he's not looking good. So it's got to be like gut wrenching. And it's also got to be really demoralizing. So hopefully they get those reliability issues fixed, but I guess we'll see. They may need 45 races. He may not catch him. It could be, I mean, Charles is so far ahead right now. It's like, I don't know if anybody can catch him.
Yeah, he's been flawless so far. But excuse me, the way the schedule is going now, I mean, it could be, it looks like we're headed to closer to 45 races than 20, but
yep,
it's going to take a few years for that at least. And then on the topic of interesting quotes, one from my side of the woods, the Mr. Toto Wolff himself has I don't think it's his first set of quotes to come out about Michael Masi, but I think the most definitive or like pointed he's made since obviously his comments during the actual race in Abu Dhabi last year. So he said he did an interview with, shout out the people that did the interview, in a new interview with the Press Association. I don't even know what that is. So this is a quote from Toto. I had lunch with him, being Masi, on the Wednesday before 2022 Abu Dhabi. I said to Masi that I really want to tell you, without patronizing you, that you need to take criticism on board and develop from there. Lewis does it every day, but you are a guy who always seems to know better. It wasn't about influencing him, but really giving him my honest feedback that he shouldn't block outside opinion as simply being wrong. You hear from the drivers and how the drivers' briefings were being conducted by Masi, and some of the guys said it was almost disrespectful how he treated them. There was a promoter of one of the races in the Middle East who said he was so relieved he had gone because he got so much abuse from him. He was just so immune to any feedback, and even today he has not properly reflected that he did something wrong. So there's more quotes, but that's basically the gist of it. So yeah, Toto's finally coming out and saying he fucked up. So which is kind of nice from my perspective to hear Toto come out and say that. I mean, it doesn't change anything, but it'll be interesting to see if Masi responds.
Yeah, like wow. I didn't even know that there were like allegations of not like abuse, but just like being an asshole, which I mean, totally believable. I like would totally buy that, but like it's just Jesus. I mean, it shows that Red Bull was just totally off the mark, Christian and Helmut, when they said that, you know, a man shouldn't be fired for one incident or one fuck up, when it's clear that he kind of just fucked up the whole season, you know? And in regards to the Toto saying that he shouldn't just disregard all outside voices as wrong, I feel like that was maybe started because of all the outside voices, you know, like maybe if the team principals had never been able to have contact with him during the races, maybe it wouldn't have been as big of an issue. But like, I mean, I'm not trying to defend him at all, but like, I cannot imagine how maddening it is when the team principal of Red Bull and the team principal of Mercedes are screaming at you, but also Mercedes or McLaren and Ferrari, you know, it's just, it sounds like a nightmare. But I mean, if it is true and he's, you know, rude and like borderline abusive, then fuck him. Like, glad he's gone. But at the same time, I can't imagine being in his shoes. But at the same time, he sort of made his plate, I guess you could say.
Yeah, yeah,
If
it's
that's a
like
phrase.
made his bed.
Yeah, he made his bed and then slept. I
He's
don't
got to
know.
lay in
Whatever.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a bit hypocritical of Toto because like to say, well, you can't just take any outside voices and think that they're always wrong. Well, if it's Red Bull's voice, like well, obviously Toto does want them to think that it's always wrong because that's going to go against him.
Right.
I see the point he's trying to make. But yeah, it was more interesting to learn that whether it was just one person that Toto's talking about, or a deeper problem that behind the scenes Masi just wouldn't listen to anyone's opinions and just kind of was like, it's my way or the highway. This is how I'm doing things. And then obviously the pressure did get to him in the final race. So I don't know. It doesn't seem like a story that's going away anytime soon. We're going to be talking about it for years. So anytime there's any new tidbits, could at least talk about them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's the end of, especially the end of last season, will permeate at least the next era of Formula One. Like maybe 2026 will finally shut the fuck up about Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, maybe.
Until then, though, it'll keep coming up. It'll always be in the conversation.
That's correct. Last week we talked about the penalty points situation with Lance Stroll. So I looked up we were kind of right. It's 12 points to get a race ban, and Lance Stroll is on 8 points. So I'll go through the grid here. There's only 0 points. Mick Schumacher, Kevin Magnussen, Charles Leclerc, and Carlos Sainz. Kind of surprising that neither of the Ferrari guys have any penalty points. But 1 point, Zhou Guanyu, Sebastian Vettel, Danny Rick, and George Russell. 2, Albon, Alonso, and Lewis Hamilton. 3, Gasly, Ocon. And then 5, getting closer to, once you get around like 7 or 8, you got to kind of start to worry. But 5 is Bottas and Lando Norris. 6 to Latifi. 7, both the Red Bull guys, Perez and Verstappen. And then 8 points, Stroll and Tsunoda. So Stroll got 3 in Australia, but he didn't get any for the Bottas incident. So he could have had 2 more, been on 10. And I think he loses 1 or 2 for an incident last year. So I don't know if that comes off before or after, but I guess that potentially, depending, could have put him at 12. I'm not sure. But yeah, so Tsunoda as well is also at 8. And then both the Red Bull guys are at 7. So they're only a couple incidences away.
Yeah, that's like almost scary because you think 2 penalties and you could be out. Like that's crazy. Yuki is, I'm surprised it's 8 because that must be, he should be losing some points soon then. Yeah, because I feel like I haven't seen him cause like or get penalties in the last like couple of Grand Prix. I could be mistaken on that though, but
yeah,
thank God.
It must have been from, he had all those issues last year at the start of the year. So.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he racked up those points quick because that's why they sent him off to Italy. But thank God you don't get points most of the time for DNFing because the TV's only at 6.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, like unless you take someone else out, but
right.
Yeah, I think there'd definitely be a couple race bans if you got points for DNF. Although he's basically giving himself a race ban when he's DNFing every race.
Yeah, Sergio's been driving really, really confident and pretty clean so far this season. So I don't know if he's necessarily at risk, but with the aggressive as Max is, if he accidentally plows into Charles or something, he could be out for an entire Grand Prix. So this year really could be like either a Red Bull redemption, which I know a lot of people don't want to see, or it could just be like the total like utter downfall of like one of the worst follow-up seasons for a world champion, because it's sort of playing out before our eyes. I mean, 2 out of 3 races DNF'd. It's like he had like a curse or something. It's like, it seems like that with just how terrible like his luck has been.
Yeah, the pressure is mounting. Like every week it's going to just keep going up and up.
Yes.
And last year at this race, I was just watching the highlights before we recorded, and he won the race last year, but it was there's a lot of stuff that happened during the race. So I'll get to that in a minute. First, one of the bigger issues from last year, and something that we talked about that they showed on Drive to Survive, was the Bottas Russell crash from last year at Imola. So I guess asked George about it now. So
Oh
yeah, for those
God.
who don't remember, I think it was right after Lewis kind of crashed. So it was like right when the yellow flag went up, and then Bottas and Russell got into a crash. George Russell was really, really pissed at Bottas, got out the car there. Well, before he got out, he had some choice words, you could say, for him on the radio. And then just basically blamed it all on Bottas. If you look at the replay, though, at least in my opinion, it was way more on George, on Russell.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
obviously this was also during all the like who's going to go to what team next year. Is Bottas going to be back to Mercedes? Is Russell going to be the guy that goes in there? So that all kind of played into it. But George was pretty apologetic, not apologetic, but he's reflected on it, I could say, because he said in an interview with GQ magazine that, quote, "I made myself look like a bit of a dick. If I look back on how I handled that, I'd probably laugh at myself and say, what were you doing? I just looked like an idiot, like I lost the plot. And to be honest, for a second, I probably did lose the plot." So interesting to hear a driver admit that they just kind of saw red. Because I think like we said, he was probably more in the wrong than Bottas was. So
It's definitely his fault. And back when it first happened, the whole Bottas Russell rumors were like not at its peak, but it was like really like it was talked about every single week. And when that happened, I said to myself, I was like, just seeing his reaction, I was like, that's gotta hurt his chances of getting the seat, just the way he carried himself. But at the same time, one mistake doesn't define you, especially not even as a driver, just as a person. So the fact that he's, taking the time to reflect on it, and the quote that you just read, that's definitely like the coolest way you could go about it. Like, he definitely seems to have acknowledged his mistakes, which really shows them just how much he's matured in just the last year.
Yeah, it was very, like, the exact word I was going to use is mature. She's shown a lot of maturity in that quote. He does come off a lot as sort of I don't know if it's just because he's British, but there's like a bit of a pretentiousness that kind of comes with him. Like, I like him, but he can kind of rub me the wrong way sometimes. So
yeah,
I was happy to see that he at least took some blame for that. But yeah, I guess I'll do a quick recap then of last year's race, because it was a very interesting race. They used to race at Imola forever, and then they stopped for a while. And then last year, I think, was the last time they came back, and they only came back because of COVID. It might have been the second year in a row.
Yeah, that's
Everything
right.
gets jumbled up. But so it's obviously like a classic track that the drivers really enjoy, but it was a very wet race. And then right off, I don't remember exactly if Max and Lewis had the rivalry started yet at this point last year, because it was pretty early in the season. I think a few little incidents had happened, but I don't exactly remember where it was on the schedule. But anyways, like right onto turn one. So Lewis had pole, Max was behind him. And then they battled into turn one. And then the first braking zone at Imola, like, you'll know from the video game, it's like quick left and then hooks right, and there's there's some bumps there, so it is tough if you don't catch it perfectly. And so Max and Lewis are both going in at the same time. In my opinion, Max pushed Lewis off. Lewis went into the bumps and then didn't really take damage, but Max got ahead. But anyways, not a big deal. It was pretty clean racing. And then so Max was ahead, Lewis is behind. Max gets like a huge lead. It looks like it's just going to be a simple 1-2. And then lap like 30 something, Lewis, again, it was a wet race, but so people were sliding off the track left and right. Lewis slides off. Looks like he's going to be out of the race, but he somehow in the gravel pit was able to keep the tires alive and got out of there. And then just as that was happening, the Bottas and Russell crash happened, which caused a red flag. So instead of Lewis being either out of the race or starting from the very back, the red flag allowed him to start, I think, from 8th on the restart. So yeah, that was very lucky. So when you do hear him make comments about like always getting screwed by flags and stuff, like there's one time where he got a huge break by the flag. Like Perez spun out, he was out of the race or went to the back of the pack, and then the last, I think it was 63 laps, I think it was the 60th lap, Hamilton caught back up third and then passed Lando for second. So Verstappen won by a ton, his first win in Italy, and then Hamilton second, Norris third. So it's a good podium for Norris, almost got a second, and a good race for Hamilton, a good comeback race for Hamilton. And I forgot about the little incident on lap one. It wasn't anything crazy, but anytime Lewis and Max last year were going literally like side by side into a turn, your heart goes like into your throat. So yeah, it was kind of fun watching that back. I'm hoping for another interesting race this year. We've got I'll let you give if you have any thoughts on that in a sec, but we also have the first sprint race of the year. So we'll go over the kind of new changes for that in a minute. Do you have anything that stands out from last year's race?
Just Lewis being Lewis, honestly. The fact that he not only was able to get it out of the gravel, but be able to fight back into P2. It's just, and also the amount of times last season we heard Verstappen and Hamilton wheel to wheel every single weekend. So like, it's just thinking back without watching the highlight. It's hard to like even remember particular incidents because it happens so often. But
the commentary on those moments too, like just listening back to the highlight, it's just so electric. Like Hamilton, bit of Verstappen, the 2 championship leaders going to turn 1. Like it's just,
it gives you chills.
Oh yeah, the F1 broadcasting is, when they do it right, it's incredible. Like the broadcasters themselves. We've talked about our issues with the actual truck and how they cut things to replay sometimes, but we'll leave that for another episode if they do it again. They're on watch. It's a new sprint race.
Yes.
So, well, I don't know about new sprint race. They introduced them last year. So I'm going to go through the regulations, and then there was one little thing I didn't know that I'll mention afterwards. But so last year it was just called sprint qualifying, and it would set the pole and the grid. So kind of made qualifying relatively irrelevant.
Yeah.
And now it's just called the sprint. So this is the first of 3. Imola, Spielberg, which is Austria, or the Red Bull Ring, whatever you want to call it, which is basically just like a circle. And then Brazil, Interlagos. So that'll be fun. Obviously, Lewis did great things there last year in the So now this year they changed it. So pole in the record books goes to Friday's quali winner, not the sprint. So yeah, which makes sense if you win quali, but you could still not necessarily start first for the race, but you get like like I said, the record books will say
it makes sense.
And then they also added more points, so it's top 8 this year get points, which is up from just the 3. Like they're only giving 3 points out. Last year there was not really any point to fight because it was always going to be last year, especially it was going to be Red Bull and Mercedes, and then maybe McLaren a little bit in there too. But there was at least this year there's a lot more middle of the pack tightness, and there's 8 points. Like that could actually swing things. So it's just like 8 to first, 7 to second, so on and so forth. And then that's the changes. So one thing I didn't know was they originally had planned for 6 sprint races this year.
Oh no!
Due to the compromise with the budget cap, they just did 3. But the other 3 were supposed to be Bahrain, Netherlands, and Canada. So I would have got to see the sprint race. I know. I was like, God damn it, when I saw it. But
you're missing like a whole day of racing action.
Yeah, that would be so cool. And like they're maybe not the most exciting things, but I feel like to be there for them would be sick.
Especially with the new rules. I will say I think Bahrain and Netherlands would have maybe been a mistake, but I didn't actually realize that the second sprint race was at Austria at the Red Bull Ring. Yeah, that's odd because that track is so short. So I'm curious how many laps the sprint will be, but that is one of my favorite tracks in the Formula One game. So that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. But
and
also, Brazil, that's crazy.
Yeah. Like, that's what I was gonna say, even about the Montreal track. Like it's not like, it's pretty much a polar opposite to Austria. Like it is fast in points, but it also has a lot of like tight turns and stuff. So it's, I don't even know if that would even make for a good sprint race track, but I just, for the sake of someone that's going to the race, it would have been cool to see.
I think it would. I love the Montreal track. Like, I don't know. I've had so many like really, really close moments between that final like hard U-turn and then that long straight with the quick dip and then back into the straight. I love that track.
Good. Yeah, no, I like it too. It's fun. Other than that, like the new changes, I guess the eight places, and we already talked about the setting the pole. So what do you think, or do you hope that the top 8 thing will actually change? because last year, like I had really high hopes for the sprint races, and then they were a bit of a dud, other
Yeah, they
than
were
Brazil. But that was also when you had the fastest car starting from the back. Like,
exactly.
so, yeah. Do you think this will change things?
I definitely think that they chose to do Brazil again because of like Lewis's huge achievement. Like that was so cool to watch. That was definitely the highlight of the sprints of last year. But I definitely think that the new point changes and the pole changes are definitely for the better if they want to keep sprints in this sport. Definitely last year, handing out 3 points to first, second to second, and one to third was just so pointless. I think we had a Twitter reply do pretty well actually for making the same point, but it gave literally no motivation for anybody from 10th to 4th, any motivation to overtake. Because I mean, why would you risk giving your position up or potentially losing position for 0 to 1 point? It
Yeah.
just it makes no sense. But these changes, it's not going to affect the grand or the world championship standings like all that much, but it's just like a little bonus, I feel like, and it's also a little more incentive for the drivers to actually push a little bit harder. So I'm hyped for it. I think this year with the updated rules, we'll really see if sprints are like cut out to stay in the sport.
Yeah, I think it's definitely make or break for the sprints this year. So, and it'll be very interesting in Brazil because I think Brazil's like second or third last race this year because they're not
Mm-hmm.
going to, was it Qatar or whatever. Um, so if with the extra 8 points, then there's 34 potential points for the winner that week. So it could, if there's a tight race like last year, it could swing things a little more. So
Yeah.
that'll be pretty cool. But yeah, I don't really have too much more on that. The actual Emiliana, I'm gonna try to pronounce this, Emiliana Romagna Grand Prix. We just call it Imola. But
Imola.
yeah, so the schedules, I love these weeks because whether you like the sprint or not, it does just make the whole week a little bit more exciting. Like each day kind of has a big event. So quali, we got Friday. These are Eastern Standard Times, so adjust yourselves accordingly. Quali is Friday at noon. The sprint race is Saturday at 11:30 a.m. and the race
Nice.
is Sunday at 10 a.m. So hopefully those work into your schedule. But I
Yes.
love those for my schedule. That's like pretty much the perfect time, like quali at noon on Friday while you're working. Not too bad. And then yeah, Saturday 11:30, Sunday 10 a.m. Just great. Wake up, have some coffee, boom.
Yep. Yeah, it's like perfect times, and I'll definitely be able to watch all of those. And I'm real glad it's not that I'm complaining, but it's refreshing starting a race at 1 a.m. to 10 a.m. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's a nice change. We'll get back to I think a few weeks at least of normalcy in terms of the schedule. Again,
Mm-hmm.
we're not complaining about when it's not normal, but
No,
it is nice when it is.
it is
Um, because yeah, we have Miami in a couple weeks and a couple normal, and then I don't know, it'll change a bit once you get to like Azerbaijan and stuff. But
yeah,
um, as we said last week, if it's just once in a while, it's a nice little change.
for sure.
Uh, what did I want to say? Oh yeah, the betting odds for. I'm gonna try and throw these in whenever we have a week of, because I was finding it interesting how Vegas, I guess you could say, thinks the race is gonna go. So yeah, not too many surprise. As I say that, how interesting it is. Not too surprising this week, but Charles Leclerc is the favorite. He's like 2 to 1. Then Max is 2.75 to 1, so pretty close, pretty even odds there. And then I guess the surprise would be that Carlos Sainz is third, 7.7 to 1, so quite a bit back from the top two. And then Hamilton's fourth, 13 to 1, and Perez is fifth, 14 to 1. And after that, it drops down quite a bit, 24 to 1 for George Russell, 60 to 1 for Alonso, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, Leclerc and Verstappen, obviously the two favorites. But I mean, if say those two crashed out, if you would throw some money on anyone else in the field, a couple other guys, just kind of hope for carnage, there
Yeah,
could be some good
absolutely.
money to be made there.
I don't know. I'm not a betting man, but like some of those seem like crazy to me. I guess it's going off of not only like this season, but past season as well. But the fact that Signs is ahead of Perez, I guess because of his first DNF, that may have a that may play into it. But
Mhm.
I'm also surprised that Hamilton is ahead of Russell.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
obviously
Russell's
he's
quite a bit back there.
yeah, he's I mean, that's surprising. I mean, obviously he's the GOAT and he's a legend, but Russell's P2 in the championship. Like it's shocking that
Mhm.
Russell's not at least up there. And how so it, like let's say I threw a bet on Sainz, like does that only pay out if he wins the GP?
Yeah. So you can do is different. You could do like podiums or whatever the
So
case, but this
okay,
is specifically to
that
win.
okay,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yes.
Who
So if you put like $10 on science and he won, you'd win like 77. So not too bad. But
dude, we've got to maybe not this season, but like as the show grows, like maybe next season, we've got to like incorporate a bet segment
yeah,
like that.
I'd
We
love to.
we've got to do that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm getting pretty big into the betting the last, I don't know, a couple of years now. It just became basically, it was always like legal, but they just allowed, long story short, like you can do betting on the apps now in Canada a lot easier.
Mm,
So
it's awesome.
definitely getting into it a lot more. So yeah, anytime you want to throw down some bets, we can talk about that. Another kind of newish thing this week, the F1 Manager game, as we've talked about before, had some new details come out. So neither one of us, to be honest, have actually read all the details. So we just saw that there's new details. So how about, do you want to start going through it?
Sure. Yeah. The first thing that caught my eye, especially because this was something that I was particularly worried about, is that let me see if I can find the exact quote, but it's pretty much said that you're simulating the behind the scenes of the race, the crew, all that. You're not simulating like the press, like you're not the social media, the acclaim. That's sort of not an aspect, or at least according to this article that I'm reading. But that's okay with me because I know you can like turn it off in the game, but like my one of my least favorite like things about the F1 game is like great work today. Let's have your take on it.
Oh my God, that girl.
I know.
So annoying. And like the answers, you have no idea how they affect you. It just says
No,
like a
and
claim positive or like a claim affected. Like
yep,
how?
your aero department hates you now.
Yeah. Like,
Congrats.
all right. Cool.
And also like you'll be like having like a wheel to wheel race with Hamilton the entire time. And it's like, you came quite close to Bottas. Do you have any
Yeah.
thoughts on that? It's like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
It's
Or
like,
like you just
fuck
finished
off.
qualifying. They're like, tough race today.
I got P2.
Like, well, it wasn't the race actually, but
Yeah.
yeah, looking at this website, they have just from the like the graphics alone,
The
the
Charles.
screens and stuff, they look really good. Like
Yeah.
I'm looking at the one on the Formula One website.
Mm-hmm.
They have like the home screen where you hire like a technical chief, head of aerodynamics, race engineer one, race engineer two. So like you have all your staff people, and then you develop the car. You
Yeah.
have like cost cap, sponsorships, monthly balance, season balance. But yeah, it all looks like very clean. And then in terms of like the actual race, obviously you simulate the race, but you can determine all the strategies, like
Oh,
kind of like the stuff for DRS and battery reserve where you want to manage that, and then it'll kind of do like a simulation of where in the race they think those strategies will put you, kind of just like how they mess around with the time zone like a simulator or something. So
yeah.
there's so much. And then I'm just getting down to race day. Yeah, you can obviously change like with the different tires, and depending on the weather, how much
Oh,
everything changes, you
man.
determine like the pit stop strategies, and then during the race you can switch cameras between racers or your guy like in the pits, outside of the pits, the pit crew, all that stuff. And yeah, like the Leclerc screen they have up, it all looks really clean and really nice. So
Dude, yes, it does.
yeah,
It looks sick. Like I'm not even gonna lie.
we
Like
have
I
Crofty and Carrie
yeah.
Shandok as the announcers, and yeah, it looks like they're gonna have really cool like all the camera angles. They try to make it look like the broadcast. So I don't know. It
Yeah, it
sounds like pretty
does.
sick. I was a little worried it was gonna be kind of boring, but this sounds like right up my alley. I love doing all the technical stuff, and also just from the F1 video game, like a decent amount of my F1 knowledge of actual tracks and stuff like that does come, and like strategies and tires and all that does really come from
Yep.
the game. Like they do, people have their issues with the game, but you do learn a lot. So that's gonna be cool to learn even more about the technical aspects. I think that in any video game, like growing up playing sports video games, I would know every player in like every
Yep.
sport just goes from playing them in the video games. So it'll be cool to learn a lot more about the tech aspects and stuff, because that's something we're both admittedly not the strongest in.
Yeah, no, but I definitely agree. The F1 games have for sure like helped me at least learn like terms. It, like at least
Mhm.
teaches you like the vernacular of Formula One, and like you learn like you don't learn like super in detail, but you know about like strategies and pit stop strategies, and you learn rules. Like it's
Yeah,
super
and even
beneficial.
like upgrading
So
the car and like the car parts, and
yeah,
I learned that there's a thing like you literally have to put one of the upgrades is a plank, like a wooden plank,
yep.
and it's like one of the further upgrades,
Yeah.
and like it's just a joke. I'm spending like 3 weeks of racing points on
Mm-hmm.
a
A
plank.
plank. It's for the chassis, man. It's for
Yeah,
the
you
chassis.
gotta put that down there.
The the Charles model looks
Mhm.
somehow better than the Charles model from any of the previous Formula One games, because the models in that game are like scary looking sometimes.
Yeah,
I'm looking at the like the just the menu and like the
Mhm.
overall just like layout. It looks so cool, so pleasing to look at. The like looking
Yeah,
at the
that's like
the
aesthetically pleasing. It's
yes,
like ASMR for the eyes.
exactly. Looking at like the strategy editor, and also just the finances, like the looking at just the bottom like layout. It like you can see the $8 million to spend Australian Grand Prix in 4 days. Like that just gets me hyped, man, because I don't know if it's when I was a kid I didn't really enjoy like strategy simulator games sort of like that, but like as I've gotten older and into my 20s, I have like really developed a love for them, and it started with like park building games like the Jurassic World
Or like
Evolution
Roller
and
Coaster Tycoon and all those. Oh yeah.
exactly, yes, exactly, like park like that is those games are like some of the most fun games you will ever play.
Mhm.
And
And then you
I've
can just
I've
soak up hours too.
oh my god, you will waste like so much time on there. So I'm super excited to get this. I will get this day one. I'm actually trying to see if you can pre-order it and see if it's going to be full price, because I'm curious
Is
if
there a release date? I think we
um
said last time it's somewhere in June, but I don't know for oh, here it says at the bottom in summer
this
2022, summer 2022. So
yeah, so no confirmed date, and on Steam if you want to wish list it, all it says is planned release date coming soon.
there
Hmm.
should also be a trailer coming out. I saw a bunch of stuff on Reddit that the last 2 years, the trailer for the new F1 video game, like the official F1 video game, had come out on April 15th. So everyone was like
Oh,
hyping up, oh, it's gonna drop today, it's gonna drop.
yep,
It
nope.
did not drop. So I don't know. Obviously, I think EA got involved last year, but this year they're like more highly involved. Um, so I don't know if that has something to do with it, but there keeps being changes to what's actually in the game and not in the game. So
Hmm.
I'm definitely glad that we have this other game to supplement us, because from what it sounds like, we might just be sticking with F121 for a little while, even if the new game does come out. I'm going to obviously buy it and try it, but I don't know. It's not too promising, but
Hmm.
I'll keep my hopes at least level, because I don't want to
Yeah,
go into too low. But yeah,
definitely. I will definitely get both of them. I don't know. I'm super excited for F1 Manager, but I don't know. It just seems if it's full price, I don't know. That just seems like a
yeah,
game that it's not even that like it's not that I can't. It just seems wrong to spend $60. I mean, not that, the hard work that the devs put into video games don't deserve compensation or whatever, but I don't know, $60 for a simulator just seems a little bit crazy, but I will definitely get it. And if it is full price, then maybe I'll wait a couple of weeks, get it for $50. I don't know.
yeah. I'm certainly hoping it's not in the like
Mm-hmm.
69.99 whatever price range. I'm hoping it's
Yeah.
more in
Fuck.
the 29.39, somewhere in there. That'd
Yeah.
be nice, but who knows? We'll see. We'll probably be a sucker and buy it anyways. But one thing I have noticed with the F1 game is uh, there are always like, it has been out for a while, but for the last few months I've been seeing it posted with huge discounts. So
Yeah.
like you
Oh
said, you can
yeah.
just wait for a few months. If this one is $70 or whatever, then
For sure.
yeah, especially if it comes out like at the same time as F122, then we'll kind of have to make a decision. But at this point, it's definitely looking promising. That's for
that
sure.
22 will definitely be $70. Like that'll be full
get
price.
like the deluxe edition. That'll be $90. So
yeah. Do you want to play Michael Schumacher? Do you? $80.
Yeah, I bought the deluxe one, and like all it gives you is the option to use like Schumacher and Senna and that, but only in like your career mode if you do your team career, and then you can only get them on your team once you have like 20 million extra dollars a year to spend. So I barely even use them, and then they just so it's kind of not really worth it. But
that's a bummer.
Yeah, we'll see what they do this year. Hopefully a little better. But yeah, we've been playing our F1 career a little bit.
Yes, we have
some good races, some bad races, some points finally up on the board, but we'll definitely have to get some more of that in. You've been wiping my ass with it, but I'm getting to some of my better tracks.
Yeah, and also we're not used to the no flashbacks.
Yeah,
even if it's just one or two, when you know you have zero, you definitely tend to drive like a lot safer. But I've been playing the shit out of Formula One. Pretty much all I've been doing for like the past 3 months, like to kind of wind down before bed, is playing either Formula One or Dead by Daylight. And it's been a lot more Formula One recently. So a lot of these tracks, I'm just like, it's almost like autopilot, just kind of going through it. Once we get to like, actually, did we do a full season, or we did the 16?
I think we did 16. We'll do 23 next. But I think our next race is at Baku.
Yes, so love Baku. But like if we do the 23, there will be at least 4 races where I'm guaranteed to DNF 100%.
Oh yeah, me too, for sure. Especially Monaco,
Japan.
Yeah, probably Zandvoort in Netherlands.
Yep. I'm getting better at that one. That one was like the hardest, like first time around. Like I could not understand, like, especially there's like that after that big bend, the like windy road, it confused the shit out of me. But that's like my favorite part about that game, is just grinding the laps and just getting better. It's so much fun.
Yeah, each individual corner, there's always something. The more you play it, there's always something you can get better at. So
absolutely,
it's always fun. So yeah, we don't want to do too long of an episode this week because we didn't have there was no race last weekend. But this weekend, obviously, we have the Friday, Saturday, Sunday triple header, you could say. We'll be doing we'll be live tweeting and all that, and posting. We're gonna try and do some videos of some reaction videos and whatnot. So try and follow us on social all weekend if you want to give out those.
Oh yes, absolutely. Real quick before I give these out, sure. I'm going to try to do my best. I think it'll be, it'll definitely be for the race, but maybe, the sprint, definitely qualifying. I'm going to try to like record my live reactions, like as I'm watching it, and then post it like immediately afterwards. So we'll see how that goes, but gosh, just on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Harder Soft F1 Podcast, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Harder Soft F1. And before we sign off, one thing about this upcoming GP that we forgot to mention: have you seen the weather forecast?
No, actually, I have not seen the weather forecast.
As of, it's been a long week. Either really late last night or early this morning, whichever one it was. It's forecast rain all weekend.
Ooh.
Yeah,
it's always crazy when there's rain, especially at one of these tracks. So.
And with what happened last year with the rain, I don't know, exactly. And how all the penalty points, you know, who knows what could happen.
It could be bad for the sprint race, but it should be good for everything else.
Oh, it's going to be amazing for viewers.
yeah, it's be good for us. I just hope guys don't play too safe in the sprint because of the wet. But I mean, that being said, there could also be an opportunity for a guy like, I don't know, like a Magnussen or someone that has, or Schumacher, or someone that never really gets a chance to win. Who knows what could happen if they're up there at the front? They might say, "Hey, I'm going to push a little extra hard because I know I'm probably not going to win the actual GP."
Exactly.
Who knows? I'm just hoping for excitement, one way or the other.
Yes, for sure. And I actually just pulled it up. It looks like the sprint might be clear.
Ooh,
but it looks like quali and the race are going to at least have some sort of precipitation, but we'll see what happens.
Like crazy grid for the sprint, and then just mayhem. So especially if it's wet for quali, guys are going to be finishing all over the place, and then the sprint race, if it's
That
dry,
settles it.
then guys are going to be passing each other. That'll be interesting too, because they'll actually be able to pass. And then the race itself being wet, like that could just be the ultimate weekend. We could be sitting here on Sunday night recording, just going, "What the hell did we just watch?"
I know.
Let's hope for that.
We're gonna call it. Let's say, the qualifying, all the top guys are gonna fuck up, and then they're gonna have to earn it back the next day. So
that'd be great.
It's gonna be amazing. Yes. So just be on the lookout for all of our social media. Lots of reels, lots of verticals, lots of clips, lots of content coming your way. We're only on episode 8. I mean, it's still super early in the season, but we're both still just as eager and just as excited to keep this thing going. And is there anything you want to add before we call this thing?
Nope. Just a quick thank you to everyone that has been listening and watching our stuff, and those that do comment, and even if they're not nice comments, we still appreciate them. But we're gonna be pumping out a lot of stuff. So just appreciate everyone that's been following along.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll catch you guys next week for Imola.